Wish TV is proud to honor teachers in Central Indiana.
She is an inspiration to all of us.
He's always smiling.
Who go above and beyond.
He's done so many things for so many people.
He's inspirational.
Making a difference.
He's always taught me to believe in myself and never get down on myself.
Everybody's biggest cheerleader.
And deserving of recognition for their outstanding efforts in education.
I love the people that I work with. And to know that I've made an impact on somebody's life, it is truly a great honor.
It's an honor. I love what I do, and the kids are the ones who make it work. I'm like just so taken aback because I love them so much. The fact that, they love me just as much just means a lot. Sorry, you're going to have to cut that part out.
And you are our winner.
Oh, thank you so much.
From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Golden Apple Awards podcast.
Hey everyone, Hannah Mordeau here. Our first Golden Apple Award winner of the school year is Mrs. Rachel Haynes. She's a special education resource teacher in Warren Township with a special connection to her students. In fact, her student, Harley Palmer, has been with Mrs. Haynes for a decade and wanted to say thank you for her dedication. So Harley and her mom nominated Mrs. Haynes for the Golden Apple Award. And we went to surprise her with the Golden Apple Award trophy, a school supply shopping spree to teachers' treasures, and a video message from Harley and her mom. The surprise was really wonderful. It went fast, though, and we didn't really have that much time to talk to Mrs. Haynes and get to know her, so I brought her back here on the podcast. Hey, Mrs. Haynes, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me this morning. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you. It obviously was a whirlwind, the whole surprise. You saw it all unfold yesterday. How are you feeling now?
Oh, I'm on cloud nine. So it was very, just very rewarding and very humbling to see, what I've been doing for a long time is just part of what I have considered just part of my job and part of what I do to, really have such an impact. And then for everybody else to see that, it's just kind of nice and rewarding. So, yeah.
Well, you clearly have had a huge impact on your students, Harley included. She and her mom were so thankful to have you in their lives, and that's why they nominated you.
And I appreciate that so much.
The surprise, though, it really is quick, and we don't get a lot of chance to sit and talk to you.
Right.
You really bombarded a room full of students. So I wanted to get to know you a little bit. How did you start on this journey? 25 years of teaching. How'd you get into it?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. It's not a real exciting story. I went to Ball State in the fall of 1994, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And my mom was like, well, you'd be a good teacher. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. So I went ahead and but she also thought I should take calculus. So I took one day of calculus and thought, no, I signed up for an elementary ed math class. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing calculus. So I signed up for those elementary ed classes, and I started really enjoying those classes. And I thought, yeah, I could do that. And then about my beginning of my junior year, my mom actually is a teacher as well, but she lost her job. And I was very concerned about the fact that I only had an elementary ed background. And I thought, well, I'm going to pick up special education because I think I would be more marketable, have more of an opportunity to get a job. And I had never had the intention of staying in special education world for this long. But the more I did it, the more I loved it, the more I knew I was making a difference in kids' lives who really needed a lot more support. And so I have just hung around the special ed world for 25 years, and I will probably retire in the special ed world when that time comes. So it was a great decision. It added another year of school, but who doesn't love college? And so I graduated in 99. I actually student taught here at Lowell. I student taught in Franklin Township, and then I student taught here for second grade. And then that spring break, one of their resource teachers had an injury and was not able to return to school for that school year. And the principal hired me as the building sub. And then they had an opening at the beginning of that school year, and she hired me for that position as well. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, clearly it worked out, and we do need teachers like you in special education.
Thank you.
You said it really is
where you've been for your whole career. What has made it the place to be for you as an educator? Why is it so important for these students and young people to be in special education?
Well, so a lot of these kiddos, they're not making the gains they need to meet in the general ed setting. They need that extra support. And for me, it's knowing that these kids would fall through the cracks if they did not have the special education support. There's a lot that goes into qualifying a student for special education. We have a process called response to intervention. We have to go through that process, making sure like what's going on in the general ed classroom is helping them move forward. And if it's not, then we look at, okay, what are some other strategies that we can put into place? What are some other things that we can do to help support them? And if those things don't work, then we talk about, okay, well, does this look like it's a disability? And then when they go through that, then we look at, okay, is this the best placement for them? What are the kinds of services that we need to provide? And I do a lot of providing services within that general education setting. I go into the classroom. So in that way, I'm able to work with more than just my kids, kind of like what you saw in kindergarten. I was working with my kids, but I was also working with other kids as well. But those are the kids that I feel, they just need another person to be their person, to support them, to, build those relationships with them, which is something I try and do so much when I'm in the classroom. I really try and build those relationships with their teachers, with them, and with their families as well.
That was such a key when hearing about you from everybody, was the fact that you build these relationships. You take time to know your students, know them as people. Why is that so important as a teacher in general?
Yeah, as a teacher in general, it's really important to know your kids, but to get to know their families too, and to know, what's the driving force behind them. Does mom work nights? Is there anybody at home at night when, it's bedtime, or are they having to put themselves to bed and then mom's coming home a little later? And in elementary, obviously, it's not, there's probably are parents around at night, but, maybe it's one parent. Maybe it's they're kind of crossing in the night, the parents, because, we have a lot of parents who have two parent working families. And then we have a lot of single parent homes here too. And I think it's just important knowing the support that they're going to get at home, and touching base with those parents saying, hey, I wanted to call you and say, they've been doing so great. And really, it's important to make those conversations too, because then when you have to call them for a not so great phone call, you've already made that positive connection with them. And that's something that's really encouraged throughout our district, is to build those relationships with our parents before we have to make those other phone calls. So
that is clearly the right thing to do, but it takes a lot of time and effort on your part. And you're a mom yourself. How do you fit all of that in?
Oh, it's challenging. And I mean, like I said, with Harley, I've been doing her services. I've been providing her services since she was in kindergarten. And that was when my son, my youngest, I think was 3. So that was definitely a challenge. At that point, I was only allotted 2 hours a week with her. So that made it a little more manageable. They've bumped up what I'm allotted to work with her since then. So, and obviously in high school, we try and cram a lot more into those sessions. But it was challenging, but I have a good family support system as well. I have a great mother-in-law and father-in-law who I would drop the kids off at their house in the morning. The kids would pick up the bus from there. Because my husband at that point in time, he was probably working nights. He's been on random schedules throughout his career as well. So, but we had to make things work the best we could. And sometimes I would, be at their house at 4:30, 5 o'clock to pick up the kids. And then we'd go home and have dinner. Obviously, it's gotten a lot, and I don't know that it's easier the older they get, because they get busier, but they're a little more self-sufficient. And I can say, okay, when you get home, you can eat this, and then I'll be home as soon as I can. So but it's great.
I have almost 5-year-old and 2-year-old, so I'm in that thick of the little kid stage and the managing with both parents and work. So I mean, it is definitely a thing. And on that note, we really felt when schools closed in the pandemic, and you didn't have that like backbone necessarily of in-person class and whatnot. But
Right.
you've been a teacher for 25 years now. I mean, you have seen so much change in that time.
Yes.
I know we are in need of teachers right now, and there is such a shortage.
There is.
What do we as parents and people, what do we need to know to help resolve this shortage or issue to make it a better place for teachers to be?
Yeah, that's a really hard question because I don't know the answer for that one. It is sad to see a lot of the young people who are not choosing to go into education. I think some of that is political, and I'm not really versed very well in the political world, so I don't even know that I can answer that piece of it. But it's just a lack of respect sometimes, and I think parents really, for the most part in my career, I have had the utmost support from parents, and I've had a lot of respect from parents. But I think when we have parents who, don't always show us that respect, that gives us kind of that bad feeling in our mouth, and bad taste in our mouth, and we don't, and that makes it harder to come back to work the next day. I've been very lucky, and again, it's building those relationships. But I think as parents, we just ask for your support. And when we do have kids who struggle, we just want you to support us and to support your child as well. But knowing that we're not picking on people, we're not really trying to be mean. I know I had a child yesterday call me mean, and I was like, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get you to sit and do your work. And then I gave him a strategy for something else, and he was able to, kind of climb out of that frustrated area that he was in. And then we talked, and we were able to get things done. So, and I had a conversation with his mom about some things, and she was very supportive about that. But I think just being supportive of teachers, and I understand, there are lots of different teachers, there are lots of different kids, and there's lots of different dynamics and relationships. So, but, as teachers, as for me, building that relationship is so key. Just to getting everybody on the same page, and just making sure we're all working toward the same goal. So
I've been doing Golden Apple now for about 2 years, and that is such a key trend with every teacher that wins, is they take that time to build the relationship with students and parents, and that is a lot of effort, but it clearly seems like such an important aspect of being a teacher.
Absolutely.
For any young teachers out there, do you have any advice for them?
So, I think people who want to be teachers, it's going to be hard work, and that's where the struggle is, I think, at the beginning, because it's just hard out from the beginning, because you don't know what kind of a class you're going to get. You might get a great class that everybody's on task, everybody knows what they're doing, but then you might have kiddos, and I mean, you can get this 20 years in too, who maybe they haven't had preschool. Maybe they, like I said, maybe they don't have the same kind of supports at home that other children have had. But again, building those relationships with parents, calling those parents the first couple of weeks of school and just having those conversations, getting to know your kids, getting to know your families. I sound like a broken record, but again, it's all about trying to get everybody on the same page and making sure your parents are supportive of you. And again, we have some people, I've had kids who, I will make all the effort in the world to contact people, and sometimes I don't get any response. So I think, don't give up, take the time to make the plans, and understand that, it may not go great every single time. Even as 25 years, when I pull together a really great, what I think is a really great lesson, and then I get blank stares, it's like, okay, go back to square one. So
yeah. I mean, in those 25 years, you said it, you keep going back to it, relationship has been such a key thing. What though have you seen change over the last 25 years? What is the biggest thing?
Especially in the last few years from COVID, contacting parents we've had to do so much more of that with the pandemic, especially when the kids were not on in person. And again, when I started teaching, I would say there were more homes where one parent worked and the other one stayed home. And that's just, probably maybe the first 5 years of me teaching, that was how it worked. But then since that, with the economy being the way it is, more people have had to go back to work. But yeah, and I will be the first one to say, calling parents was a fear of mine for a long time. I didn't want to do it. I was always, and then I would make the phone call and it would be a great conversation. I'm like, you've got to get over your fear of this. But during COVID, we didn't have a choice, and I would call parents and, hey, I need them on Zoom, and I was, especially, those first 7 weeks that we didn't know what we were doing. I really wanted to stay in touch with my parents and to stay in touch with my kids, because I wasn't going to I teach fourth grade, the fourth grade resource kids, and that's our last grade here. And so I knew I wasn't going to see them again, likely. So it was like, I really wanted to make those connections.
I mean, that makes sense. And it has been such a tough few years. In fact, it makes me think of, the reading statistics we're starting to come out now in Indiana. Yes. What was it? 1 in 5?
It's ridiculous how low.
1 in 5 third graders isn't up to reading level here in Indiana.
Yeah. I think it's 33% of the country.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where, you as a resource teacher, you are coming in, and when we went into that kindergarten classroom, you are teaching them the methods of learning to read. But you guys are so crucial, and just so crucial to our kids growing up and getting to where they need to be. Do you think we as society value you guys as the role that you're doing enough?
I definitely think I felt very valued yesterday. I got emails from people I don't know. So and I am the car rider lady in the car rider line, and I got lots of waves and lots of congratulations. So absolutely. But I feel like it's one of those things that, and I feel very valued in my building. I feel very valued in my community with the people who I know. But, I don't know that everybody feels that way. So I'm sure there are people who don't feel valued and who feel like some things that we're asked to do maybe aren't what we should be doing. And I wish I had an answer to that too. But I also think that what you said is very
eye-opening.
Yes. And, wondering if our third graders can't read, do their parents read, and are they able to support them in that area? And the other thing that we've learned a lot just in the past few years is, we've been teaching reading in a way that doesn't always support the brain. So we have kind of taken a hard turn, and we've had a ton of training here in the township. I think I mentioned to you, there's another training that I'm doing online, and it's good stuff. It's all about the language development and how that really needs to come first. And if they're not getting that language acquisition and understanding those sounds, and then understanding that the sounds go with the letters, they're not going to be good readers. They're going to struggle because they're putting things in the wrong side of their brain. So
I think I shared with you, I'm dyslexic. I have a hard time learning to read, and the science of reading that the state has implemented it seems like hopefully that'll help and help teachers, but that's another task on that you guys have to take in learning.
But it's good. It's good stuff. Yeah. It's good stuff, and definitely worthwhile for sure.
Yeah. And I think we're headed in the right direction, but gosh, it's hard. It just seems so hard as teachers. It seems so hard, honestly, as parents too. It makes me scared because my kids are just now entering. My oldest will be going to kindergarten next year.
Yeah.
And we all want the best for kids.
Right.
And I think that's what it all comes down to. Yep. All in all, the feeling that you get though when you see students like Harley thriving,
it's wonderful. And when I see what we're implementing now make a difference, it's huge. It's just so exciting to see their growth. And we're still going to have kids that struggle because I have kids who have disabilities, and they have a disability for a reason. There's something that's not clicking as well in their little brains. But I do have kids who, have really shown gains just with the simple encoding that we're doing, which is writing the sounds, because they're making a connection with their hands and their brain, and it's all going through that left side of the brain, which I never really understood, but that's the way it needs to go. And then it's going to be easier for them to be able to read. So I enjoy the training, the reading training. I enjoyed the reading class I took. And I really feel like that is the way that we need to go for these kids and teaching them how to read. It's very interesting because like when I went to college, I was taught through a whole language approach, which is totally not how the brain works. So,
yeah, education is evolving.
It is. It is.
What keeps you motivated still to this day, 25 years in?
They're all new kids. Every child is different. We get new kids every year. It's a changing world. Like you said, we're evolving, we're doing things differently. But we get, every 5 years, our whole entire building, turns over with different kids. So, I mean, they all deserve a good education. They all deserve what's best for them. So, yeah, I enjoy it still. There are moments. This is a really great year. I definitely have had some years that have been harder than others. But this is so far I've had wonderful kids come into the building. We had a lot of new kids come into the building, and they've been fantastic to work with. So just knowing it's always a different day. It's definitely always a different day, and it's always something new. So.
Well, you are so deserving of the recognition that you've gotten, and it's been wonderful to talk to you. I hope that you continue in your growth and your success. And I am so thankful that you let us come embarrass you a little bit and surprise you. But I am just so happy that Harley and her mom, Laura, sent us that nomination. You are a special person, a special teacher.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
From Wish TV, I'm Hannah Mordeau. We're going to continue honoring teachers here in Central Indiana who go above and beyond to make a difference in children's lives. So if you know a teacher who deserves recognition, please nominate them for the Golden Apple Award. It is so easy to do. Just send in a detailed nomination to wishtv.com/goldenapple and listen for the next winner right here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The Wish TV Golden Apple Awards podcast. Nominate a teacher and learn more at wishtv.com now. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast and discover even more great podcasts now on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.